All right, first problem from the homework 6.1.1. First one here, you got 2 pieces of licorice. 1, 2, and then you have to divide it or share with 3 people. So I should divide it into thirds, and this would be person 1, person 2, person 3, person 1, person 2, person 3. So each person here gets 2 pieces. Each of those pieces are a third. So each person gets 2/3 of a piece of licorice. Answer for the first one. Second one. The word of with fractions, remember means multiplication. And when you multiply fractions, you multiply straight across. So 2 times 3 is 6. 3 times 7 is 21. That is also the same as 2 sevenths because I can divide each number by 3. Next one again, multiply straight across. 11 times 1 is 11. 6 times 12 is 72. Basic multiplication for that one. Next one. Simplifying, and notice that these are all absolute value. So the first one here, 5 minus 6 is obviously -1, plus 1 is 0. Absolute value of 0 is just 0. So there's your answer to the first one. Second one is, I know the 2 is a little bit lower, but it's 2 times -16.75. And notice the absolute value signs are around that 16.75 or 3/4. So you really just have 2 groups of 16.75. 2 ways you could do that. You could do 16.75 plus 16.75, or you could multiply them. So if I multiply that together, I should get a total of 33.5. So there's my answer to the second one. Third one, kind of a big long one dealing with fractions and so on. This first part here, I got 6 minus 2. That's 4. 4 3/8. Plus, I have -8 plus -1. So that gets me to -9 5/8. But notice it's absolute value, so then that must mean it has to be positive, because absolute value is always positive. I'll add the whole numbers first. 9 plus 4, last time I checked, is 13. And 3/8 plus 5/8 is 8/8, which is also the same as 1 whole. So that one is a total of 14 for that last one. Okay. Next one. Good review problem dealing with area of trapezoids. Now remember, area of a trapezoid, you can take it, split it in half, and take this bottom part here and flip it upside down and place it right there. So it looks something like that. If you remember, the formula for area of a trapezoid is half the height times, that's supposed to be times, not plus, times base 1 plus base 2. Or like some of you like to refer to it as base plus the bottom, or base plus the top. Either way you remember it. So this first one here should be 12 plus 16 is 28 times half of 5. Half of 5 is 2.5. So 28 times 2 is 56. And half of 28 is 14. So I add those together, and I get 0, carry the 10, 70. So that should be 70 square centimeters. Excuse me, that one is centimeters. Okay. Last one, same kind of thing. If I take the half of the height, so h divided by 2 is 4 divided by 2, which obviously is 2. So I get 2 times 12 plus 5. 12 plus 5 is 17 times 2. That is the same as 34 square inches. Next problem, 6-9. Okay, you have this copy of this generic rectangle here, and basically you just have to fill in the missing parts and then tell me what the answer actually is. So I'm going to figure out this number here first. 6 times something is 18. Well, I know 6 times 3 is 18, so I'm going to put that there. And again, I'm going to figure out this number over here next. 20 times something is 800. And I know 2 times 4 is 8. And since I have 2 zeros, I have 1 0 here. I have to add 1 more here. And remember, this is always our tens column. And then we have our ones underneath. So that's why you know it's 40 as well. So now I can do 40 times 3, which is 120. And 20 times 6, which is also 120. And now, obviously, to find the answer, I add all these up to get the answer or the product. I'm going to add them all up. I should get 1,058. Next problem, and again, this is a double homework, 10 questions instead of 5 because it should have been a 2-day lesson, but these are all good review problems. All right, next one, 6-10. We have 12 pieces of licorice, and we want to share it equally among 5 people. So I'm just going to do quick lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I'm going to say this is person 1. Here's person 2. Here's person 3. Person 4. And here's 5. And then obviously I have to split these last 2 up into fifths. So 2, 3, 5, 1. Oops, 1 extra green line on that one. I should probably erase that. Come on, erase for me, please. There we go. All right. So then person 1 here would get, here's person 1. So person 1 would get 2 whole pieces, because here's our 1, here's our 2. And then they get 2 more, and each of those little pieces over here are a fifth, so it's 2 and 2 fifths for the fraction for that one. 6-11. All you have to do is round these numbers to whatever place value they told you. The first one here said 10, not tenths, 10. So here we have 1s and 10s. This is kind of a tricky one though. That 8 makes the 9 round up. But if the 9 rounds up, it becomes a 0, which then makes the 1 round up. So this number rounds to 200. Okay. Next one, thousandths place. We got tenths, hundredths, thousandths right there, the 5, the second 5. That should be 5,462.955. Next one is tenth, right there, 724.82. And the last one, the ones place, I should just round to 851. Next problem, 6-12. How many fourths are in 1/2? I'm going to draw you the first one and the last one, and you have to use that to help you figure out number 2 and number 3. So the first one here, how many fourths are in 1/2? So here's my fraction, a half, right there. Okay. Now I should know that if I divide this into fourths here, this is what it's going to look like: 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, and then obviously we'd have a whole. How many fourths are in 1/2? Boom, 2 of them. There are 2 fourths in 1/2. Okay. Then I said I'd do the last one with you, number 4. So this one's going to be a little bit longer here. We got whole numbers, so 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then it's 5/10, and I know 5/10 is the same as a half. So here's my 5/10. And then it asks how many halves. So I got a half here, 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 and then obviously right here again. So I got 1 piece, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the answer for number 4 is 7. Again, use that information to help you figure out number 2 and number 3. Second to last problem here, you got to copy this number line and really just place the fractions where they belong. This fraction here is the same as 1/2, so I can easily split it in half and go 14 out of 28. Excuse me. Next one, I know 0.75 is the same as 3/4. I split that in half again. I get the decimal 75 hundredths. 1/3. If I pretend to split this into thirds, it'll be here and roughly here. So the first one here is 1/3. And then finally, sevenths. That's probably the most trickiest one. 4/7 I should know is just a little bit more than a half. So I would probably put it somewhere about right here and say 4/7. Okay. Last one. even though it doesn't say, the last one's actually dealing with a ratio. You have 6 rabbits eat 24 daisies. So on this side, here's our rabbits. And then here's our daisies on this side. And the question is, how many daisies would 4 rabbits eat? Okay. So I would be thinking to myself, well, if I can figure out what 1 rabbit would eat, I can easily figure out 4. So I know to get from 6 to 24, I times by 4. So I'm going to do the same to this side. Times by 4, I get 4. Then obviously I'm going to do the same with this one. Times by 4, and I get 16. So 4 rabbits would be able to eat 16 daisies. Those are the answers to lesson for the homework 6.1.1.